Thank you, Felipe. So excited to be the host for this special webinar, Navigating the New LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Well, reality of our lives, living with technology and technology updating very, very frequently, which is why we are here. So today's webinar, we are going to dig deep into the changes that have happened to the Sales Navigator platform and how you can ensure quality and qualified conversations with your saved leads and connections on LinkedIn. As we get started, few housekeeping items. Directly below is the Q&A button there. If you have questions, go ahead, keep popping them in, and we will have our subject matter experts talk to you and answer all your questions. If you can't find the Q&A, it's okay. Put it in the chat window anyways, and Felipe and I are going to keep an eye out on that one. Broadly, what are we going to cover today? 5 key things. Firstly, explore the new alerts section. Yes, Sales Navigator changed that around a bit, and you'll get to know why and how does it work most effectively for you. So how can you best use it to identify and respond to conversations? We'll discover the new search functionality, review the new functionality of messaging and InMails, showcase the new referral opportunities. Go ahead, get LinkedIn pay you for the referrals now, right? Also, if you have any other questions other than that, we've got 2 amazing speakers with us today. And let me take a couple of seconds to introduce them. I'll start with Viveka Van Rosen, our Chief Visibility Officer and co-founder at Vengreso. Actually needs no introduction, but I'm still going to give it a try. So if you Google LinkedIn expert, guess who pops up? It is Viveka. Other than being the LinkedIn expert, she is also an author, and her best-selling book, LinkedIn Marketing, An Hour a Day, LinkedIn 101 Ways to Rock Your Personal Brand, are all available. And if you're nice to her, she gives you a link to download the free copy. She also does contribute to a lot of other platforms like Fast Company, Forbes, Money, Entrepreneur, and the Social Media Examiner. So you won't just see her writing her own books, but also contributing to other platforms. So welcome, Viveka.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. I see so many names I recognize. That's awesome.
Nice. And we also have Stan Robinson Jr., Senior Director of Training and Coaching at Vengreso. What can I say about Stan Robinson? Every time I think about Stan, in my mind comes Yoda, the silent, wise one in the team. And I call him that all the while, even if he hates me for that. Stan specializes in helping our clients use LinkedIn, video messaging, and other tools so that they can prospect better and sell more. Welcome to this webinar, Stan.
Thank you so much, Priya. Great to be here. Great to see so many familiar names. So looking forward to this.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that we have so many people join in, I feel happy that there are others like me who are struggling with, what did Sales Navigator just do? And I remember waking up one morning and saying, oops, okay, where do I go? What should I click here? And this is from somebody who is a big Sales Navigator user. So the first question to you guys here, what's new with the Sales Navigator alerts? Because I see that first screen's changed. And how does it matter to us? Is it good or bad? Viv, do you want to get us started on that?
Yeah, sure. And let me go ahead and share my screen, except it's not letting me. So if one of you will, there we go, let me share my screen. That would be awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, there are, first of all, hello to everyone. There are so many familiar faces in the chat. It is so great to see some of you. Thank you so much for being here on the call. Yes, Sales Navigator has changed pretty significantly. Let me know in chat if you can actually see my screen right now. You should see Sales Navigator. Yes, yes. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so they've really brought what LinkedIn feels to be important to us up front and center. You can decide if it's actually important to you or not. I think it is. One of the reasons that I recommend people use Sales Navigator is because, let's face it, we lose track of our connections on LinkedIn. And yes, hopefully most of us use a CRM of some sort, but with Sales Navigator, without, elevating someone necessarily to CRM status, you can still save a lead or an account and keep an eye on them. That's always been one of the main reasons that I recommend people use Sales Navigator. You can keep your leads, you can keep an eye on them, you can keep an eye out for those conversation triggers and those sales triggers, which we'll deep dive a little bit into that in just a few minutes. So to answer your actual question, Priya, as you can see, the landing page has changed. There's a couple things here. First of all, we've got the highlights, and you can actually scroll through, I believe it's 3 highlights. This is LinkedIn bringing in companies that you have saved or engaged with that they think you might want to know about, right? So activity has been trending. Potentially, there's growth within the company. And what I like about this is it's not a whole lot, right? It's not the Cheesecake Factory of menu of potential leads. It's just the top 3 that LinkedIn thinks you should take a look at. And of course, if I haven't saved the account, I can. But also I can jump in immediately and go see my decision makers. Who am I connected to? What's happening with them? I have all of my search options here just by clicking on that one link. So that can be very powerful if we only have a little bit of time every day to move forward in our customer journey. So that allows us to see that. Now on the right hand side, we have priority accounts, and these are ones that we've looked at and or saved. We have more options down there, and I can continue to look at those accounts. Of course, I can then scroll down a little bit and my usual alerts are still here. Now, what I like is LinkedIn goes, okay, here's everything. Now you decide what you want to see. So if I want to sort by just accounts, I can 100% do that. And here's where my filters are. Remember before they were a slightly different area. I had to jump through to them. So now when I click on accounts, and I can choose which filters are important to me. This is not new, but I feel like it's a little bit easier to get to now. And a lot of times the filters that might be necessary or interesting to me is, of course, account growth. If there's any new decision makers, maybe that's a POC I need to reach out to. If they're making updates, I can engage on. And I like this new filter, accounts that are possibly at risk. So we'll talk a little bit about that at risk a little bit later, but let me back out of this. And similarly with leads, I can decide and see, who's changing careers, who's engaging with me, what kind of news is being shared about them, what are they sharing, are there any suggested leads that has been generated by LinkedIn. So I can certainly sort all of that, which we've always had. But now I can also, and again, it's all about clarity. I can now save. Oops. I couldn't hear what you said. Sorry, Siri. I can now remove any alerts that maybe are not relevant to me. Or if I keep seeing a lead that's sharing stuff it's like, wow, that's just not in my wheelhouse. I can remove them, or I can turn off the alert. I think when it comes to keeping an eye on your prospects, on your leads, on your account on LinkedIn, it's like having too many shoes, and people who know me well know I have too many shoes. It's sometimes hard to make a decision. It's sometimes hard to take that next action if there's too many prospects, if there are too many leads. And so this new layout really helps to bring out the important ones so you can easily see them, easily engage with them, and get rid of, you know, the high heels or the flats. Get rid of the get rid of the boots. We're moving into summer. Get rid of the things that are not important. So that, I think, is the main benefit of this new alerts section. Let's see, any questions, or Priya, over to you.
No, I think what I'm taking away from this is prioritization. I think as sellers, we all struggle with this. How much time do I have to be sitting here on Navigator and sorting through all the alerts? So I think what you just shared, to me, the big takeaway was just set it up right and prioritize, right? So thanks for sharing that. Stan, do you have anything to add on? And specifically picking up that last bit of the question, why do we care about these alerts changing? Do you want to stop that?
Sure. The key, as Viveka mentioned, is counterintuitive as it sounds. You want to spend as little time on Sales Navigator as possible to get the most out of it. So you can spend most of your time in front of prospects. And that's the power of Sales Nav. It highlights where you want to focus your time. So the challenge with Sales Navigator is never, oh, I can't find enough leads here. That's never the challenge. It's always, where do I focus my attention? And that's why this tool is so powerful. Viv, since you have highlights open, Stephen Kirsch, I think it is, asked a question in the Q&A. He said, I don't have any highlights in my Sales Navigator. I don't see any on my homepage. Why? And one reason might be that you may not have saved many accounts, because your highlights are going to be based on your saved accounts that have activity associated with them that may be a sales trigger for you. Whereas your priority accounts are basically a combination of saved accounts and accounts that you've looked at recently, even if you haven't saved them. So if there are no highlights at all, it's probably because you may not have that many saved accounts, or the saved accounts that you do have may not have had much activity in terms of potential sales triggers.
And I would say also, and it might be that little feature hasn't been rolled out yet, because this is LinkedIn, let's face it.
Yep. And Viv, since you have the screen, can you click on Oracle under highlights?
Yeah.
Just so people can see I wanted to show them the alerts that come up when they go to the account page. So if you literally click on,
So that's a good point. So if I click on decision makers, it's going to bring me up to the people. But to Stan's point, if I click on the company, it's going to bring me to the account page, which is going to give me, to Stan's point, more information about the account, including the people and the cool insights that they have now too.
Yep. And then in the right side at the top, you'll see the different alerts that basically these are what alerted Sales Nav's algorithm to move this to the highlight section for you. So you can see the different alerts, and some of them may be sales triggers. You could use, say, a new article and say, hey, notice this new article on Oracle, and use that as the basis for a message to a decision maker, just as one example.
Exactly. So you can start pulling together the alerts with the people and utilize that in your communication. Now, there was a great question from Tom, can I categorize leads in Sales Navigator? you can 100% start creating lists, and we'll talk about lists in just a minute. But yeah, you can create lists, industrial lists, consumer lists. You can create, industrial accounts lists, industrial leads lists. So you have full ability to move those, to create those and move those around for you if you want. Within here, not so much. This is what you're given. But yeah, you can absolutely create your own lists and move your leads and your accounts into those lists and start engaging through those lists.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of information just on alerts. And I was thinking about some of the stuff that I've recently done, and just another point to add to the alerts thing, especially when you were talking about unsave the lead or unsave the alerts. I know that, a lot of us are in sales as a team sport. So you have a team working on that. What I've also realized is that sometimes you allocate an account to someone else, but you keep getting the alerts.
Yeah.
And that's just, kind of sitting there. You're not going to do anything about it. So I think the functionality of going and unsaving it or hiding the alert is also important, so that you're not getting distracted by all that's coming your way, and you can focus on those few key accounts that are important for you. Okay. So
exactly.
Great functionality with alerts. Let's talk about the search functionality. I know that's changed, because it took me a couple of times to go in and do this again to figure out how's that changed. So what's changed in the search functionality, and how does it help me as a salesperson?
Yeah,
Stan,
great. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just checking Stan, because Stan keeps talking about searches all the time. Do you want to start off with this?
You can start, Viv, because I'm answering a question here in chat just to get them to kind of expand on it a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm just going to go into a search I've already created. Just so you know, LinkedIn has started coming up with some of its own generated results. So that's kind of cool too. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, one of the things that I really like about about the new Sales Navigator results or search is it's all on the same page now. So if you remember before, when you created your search, it would take you to another page. You would refine your search over there. Then it would take you back to the results. And then on the left-hand side, you could further refine it. And you were back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all the time. But now they're literally all on one page. Now you can collapse your filters. It'll show kind of the most important ones on the left-hand side. And then you can continue to manipulate your search that way, or you can expand it. But I love the fact that we have, kind of just-in-time search results. Your search results are all on the page, and then you can manipulate them however you want. So if I went up here and went, okay, there's way too many folks in here, so now I can take away the owners and maybe the heads of sales, and I can get rid of maybe some of these industries, but then I can come down here and add an account list, include or exclude an account list I've already created. Again, that ability to refine and prioritize. Ours isn't hooked up to our HubSpot CRM, but if I did have it hooked up to our HubSpot CRM, I could start filtering by people who are already in my CRM, which would be maybe more important to me. I can sort by people I've interacted with. I can either remove the people I've already looked at and remove the people I've already contacted. So it pulls them out of the search, again, making my search more I'm so excited, I'm losing my words, more succinct. And additionally, of course, I can include or exclude my saved leads as well as listed leads. So all of this being in one place is really, really powerful. And the ability to adjust, again, it's coming back to what Stan and Priya were talking about. Prioritization, spending as little time as possible here, getting the best results possible so you're not wasting times on leads that are not really qualified. So this is a first step in helping you to qualify your leads. I just think it's, I don't always love all of the changes that LinkedIn makes, but this is the one that I'm actually really amped up and excited about. Same thing, obviously, with accounts. You can do your account search and start responding and engaging with your accounts according to the search filters. One question that Dave, hello, Dave, I saw you were on the call today. One great question that Dave asked early on before this webinar was, what happened to being able to search my leads by annual revenue? They moved that to only be in the account search, but one of the cool new features is, right, I can go in, I can, find my annual revenue, go ahead and add that. That's going to sort or give me less results. Then what I can do is select those companies. And then when I view current employees, it goes back into my lead search. So now I can go and add my lead filters. So first I have to sort my accounts by revenue size. Then I pull all the employees at those accounts. Once I click through, I can then apply additional search filters and refine that search result again. So just a quick answer to Dave, who asked that great question early on. All right, I'll stop talking. Priya.
No, we need you to keep talking, so don't do that. Stan.
All I was going to say is I see several questions coming in about HubSpot integration and that type of thing. Priya, you can let me know if you'd agree with this one. I'd suggest checking with your Sales Nav admin as far as integration with your CRM systems, because it's going to be different for everyone. Yes, someone asked about the option to upgrade because they saw a message. Sales Nav is always trying to get us to spend more money with them. So yeah.
I thought we were spending like the most we possibly could, but yeah, HubSpot is one of the CRMs that it will sync with, and apparently we are still not spending enough money on Sales Navigator to get it to sync with our HubSpot CRM.
Actually, just a quick comment on that. I think it's got to do with both the level of licenses you have. So HubSpot needs to allow you to sync with Navigator and the other way around. So whoever's looking at figuring this out, ensure that you check at what level you are in HubSpot. So what's your subscription in HubSpot and what's your subscription in Sales Navigator? It will show in the apps that they're available. However, available on certain level of subscriptions for sure. We are all business organizations and we all have to remember, specifically we salespeople, that's how it works, right? So thanks for sharing that, Viv, in terms of making the search so easy. I remember I struggled with it when I was trying to do it myself, but you just made it sound easier than...
I mean, I just love being able to like click people out and add people in. And oh yeah, that reminds me to now they moved connections over to Sales Navigator before this latest change. But just in case you weren't aware of that, the really, really, really cool function of being able to sort by connections of your existing connections. I love that hack because if you do have one of those super well-connected people, you can just pop them right in here and it will refine your search results by people they know. And then you can always ask them for that introduction. We have a really cool two-step introduction that any of you who are clients of ours would have known about. And Stan, when you're not answering questions, can you take a look for that and see if we can find it and pop it into chat for everybody, our two-step referral method, but the ability to do connections of. And then since we're here and since I'm talking and since I have the screen, the other really cool search that I use all the time that our learners know about is spotlights. And my favorite spotlight is people that posted in the past 30 days. To play along with that, that ongoing theme of keep it simple, keep it focused. If I do my whole search and then I sort by people who are active on LinkedIn, well, that's just the point, they're active. I'm not spending a whole lot of time and effort trying to engage with someone, inviting someone to connect, trying to message someone, wasting InMails on someone who's just simply not active on LinkedIn. So that if they're posting on LinkedIn, you know they're active on LinkedIn. So that's another one of my favorite little features that, in my humble opinion, is literally hidden away within search. But check those two out, the connections of and the spotlight people who are active. Okay, I think it's time for Felipe to take over for just a minute before we continue on with this presentation.
All right, so coming up, the next question, what's new with Sales Navigator messaging? And while you start to answer that for the platform, I think also to talk to us about messaging in general, because I saw a question pop up to say,
Yes.
how do I get a good response? Should I send InMails? Should I send messages? So I think it's a great lead into that question as well.
Stan, you go ahead and
Yeah.
answer because you're actually more active on this. I mean, I'll show my desktop, but go ahead and let's share some of your best practices.
Good deal. And I forget who it was, and my apologies, someone had asked a question in the chat about messaging. And let me back up to the 30,000 foot view. Yes, there are great things about Sales Nav and the ability to send InMails to anyone in the network. However, you don't want to, no disrespect to car salespeople, but you don't want your first contact with someone to be a promotional Sales Navigator InMail.
Yeah.
So one of the things that makes these platforms so powerful, number one, is question for everyone. And those who've been on coaching with me know I don't ask rhetorical questions. So drop it in the chat. What is the best way to get into a decision maker's office? And we'll wait for answers in chat. What's the best way to get in to a decision maker's office? Be invited, said Tom. Jan,
I love
referral.
it.
Y'all rock, be invited. Compliment them. Okay. Yep, I was looking for referral. Be invited, of course, is even better. But the point is, even though we have some powerful messaging tools, Sales Nav shows you your shared connection. So one of the first things you want to do is look to see if any of your shared connections can give you an introduction, because that automatically puts you much further down the road as far as your relationship with the decision maker. Now, failing that, the other thing that we strongly suggest that you do before you start messaging them, and we will talk a little bit more about what you can do on messaging, is look for opportunities to engage with their content. Because another thing that Sales Nav will show you is their activity. And you'll want to look for opportunities to engage with their activity. And when I say engage, I don't mean drop a post about your latest product offering in the comments to their post. I mean, engaging with relevant content that adds something to the discussion. And when you do that, you want to tag them, so they get notified that you've added to the discussion. When you add to the discussion, it helps them because it's a signal to LinkedIn's algorithm to show their posts to more people. And it also gets you on their radar at the same time. So I just wanted to start with that before we talk about all the cool things you can do with InMails and messaging. And LinkedIn now allows you to schedule like a video call. That's something you can do through LinkedIn. But Viv has the Sales Nav inbox up here. One nice thing that they have done on the mobile device is make it much easier for you to see, jump back and forth between your LinkedIn inbox and your Sales Nav inbox.
Yeah.
Which
And
all of us have been screaming for.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. And another thing that's really cool, although I don't have it yet because LinkedIn doesn't always give me the new toys first, on Sales Nav, not only on the, in the Sales Nav app, which technical difficulties, we couldn't get that to pull up today. So I can't show you on my mobile device, but there is an area where when you're sending an InMail or sending a message on your Sales Nav app, it'll actually prompt replies, which are a little bit better than the ones on the regular just LinkedIn. So those quick replies are somewhat more sophisticated. And this is what I don't have, apparently there is an area where you can craft your own responses and have them sitting there as a template and just click and drop those in. Now, I don't have that yet. And quite frankly, I don't need that because we have a really cool tool called Fly Message, which is an auto text expander where I already have all my responses listed. But apparently that is a new feature that is going to be released on the mobile version of Sales Navigator. The other thing I really like is not only can you flip back and forth between Sales Nav and LinkedIn, you can sort by your InMails, the ones that people haven't responded to, the ones that people have responded to, and the ones that have been declined. So you don't keep bothering those individuals who are maybe just not interested in what you have to say. So I like that you can sort by that as well. There was a question earlier, where are the phone numbers? You can see on your prospects, if you come into this messaging section and you pull up your prospect's name, you can see on their profile where their phone number and email is. Sorry, I just shared that with the world, Stan. And of course, if I went into Stan's profile, I would be able to see that contact information as well. Now, know that as an individual, I can hide that if I don't want people phoning me or emailing me. So I could potentially turn off those features in my own settings. But to answer that question earlier, that's where they are found. Okay, and I think we need to, I think we have one more question, but before we get into that, Felipe, you wanted to actually share more information about Fly Message, I believe. Awesome. And just so you know, before I let Priya speak, never give me the mic, man. Just never give me the mic. There were some really, really good questions about referrals, and we've actually done a webinar on it. But since we don't really have time to deep dive into that, the answer is yes. There are ways to ask for referrals that have a much higher response rate. And I've dropped the link to that into chat. So you can click on that article. It'll tell you 3 ways that you can get better response rates when you ask for a referral or an introduction.
Perfect. And that actually cues up the last question that I had. LinkedIn is also giving us a referral program now. Do you guys want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, LinkedIn is actually giving us a referral program now. There's really not much more to say about it than that. Yeah, if you check out on your Sales Navigator and look on the top right-hand side, I realize I'm not sharing my screen, but just jump into Sales Nav. On the top right-hand side, you can see you can actually share a Sales Navigator with your connections on LinkedIn, and it will give them 2 free months and you 2 free months. So if you're someone like Mary, who's on our call today, she is, she is also a queen of LinkedIn. She's teaching and training on it all the time. So Mary, if Sales Navigator is a tool that you recommend to your clients, start using that referral tool. You probably already are, but that will pretty much ensure that you'll get Sales Navigator free for the rest of your life. Similarly, if you've got a small team, maybe so there's not enough people on your team to get Team Link, you might and they don't have Sales Navigator yet, you might choose one person and refer the others, and at least hey, you'll get free Sales Nav for a while, and they'll get 2 free months, which is better than the 1 month that they usually get. So yeah, you can now finally get, not paid necessarily, but you can get rewarded for referring people on Sales Navigator, and they've made it really easy to do.
Wow. So everybody's looking at how to generate more business using referrals. That should say something about something we've been talking about for a while, right?
Yes, exactly.
So just the last few minutes together, is there anything else that specifically stood out to you guys as, you looked at the new interface of Navigator? And I know that while some of us have experienced the new features, some people in some parts of the geographies may not have experienced them yet, because that's how Sales Navigator works, right?
Yeah.
It rolls it out in picks and pockets. And I've struggled with that. When I used to sit in India, we used to be almost the last ones to get the features everybody had been using for weeks before it got to us. So anything else to highlight, Viv, Stan, from an application standpoint?
Yeah, I think it really just comes down to there are a ton of features on Sales Navigator. Practice, play with them, and then find the few that really work for you. Like with lists, now Sales Navigator will auto-generate different kinds of lists for you. That might end up being extremely useful for you. It might be a complete waste of time. You don't have to use all the features just because they're there, but you do want to know what's available, and then you want to create a cadence. You really do. You want to create actions that you can take every day, because that's the key to success on everything. And it's what Stan said earlier, ironically, you want to spend as little time on Sales Navigator as possible, and as much time as possible with your actual prospects and clients and engaging with them. But Sales Navigator can help you do that.
Yeah.
Yep, and the only thing I'd add it's related to Sales Nav, but it's using an omni-channel approach to communicating with the people that you find on Sales Nav. And omni-channel is just a fancy way of saying, don't limit the channels of communication to email and phone. Yeah. Use direct messages, use text messages, use video, because those will greatly increase your response rate.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great point. We all have our own favorite modes on which we are better at communicating. I literally live on LinkedIn, and sometimes I don't even see my text messages. The only text messages I get are usually spam.
Yeah,
maybe so I'm on too many lists. But thanks for this. I've taken a lot of notes in our discussions today. This is in spite and despite the fact that I work with you guys every day and I keep learning on every engagement we have, how do you use alerts to prioritize what you want to be spending your time on Sales Navigator? I think that's a big one for me. I love the point that you made, Viv, about how do you select your accounts using the revenue selection and then go in and put in the other filters for the leads, so that when you're creating your lists to do your outbound outreach, you've picked your ideal customer profile and not just picked randomly anything and everything that pops up through those hundreds of filters, right?
Yeah.
And the final one there is about referrals. Keep asking for referrals. LinkedIn is a networking platform. I sometimes feel that we've forgotten about that, right? And we want to make it a sales platform. It still is a networking platform, and people buy from people whom they know, like, and trust. So it's really about what are we doing there to build that connection, right? And thank you so much for sharing all those amazing points and features with us today. If you guys have any questions which we haven't been able to answer, then connect with us on LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to do that on a one-on-one with you. And don't drop off just yet, because we still have one last video rolling out for you guys. So over to you, Felipe.
And Felipe, if you can, after that video, pull up the discount code. A couple of people are asking for that website and discount code again. Oh, which is right there. There you go. There you go, Suleiman. And I don't know if there's another video. There we go. Here's the other video.
We're not
Hi,
sweating our
everybody.
numbers. We're not struggling to prospect or find customers. We're not even sweating into quarter, because we're growing a foundation of A-level sales talent. We're rethinking successful habits, and we're rethinking our entire digital prospecting strategy. We're going to break records and explode our sales funnel. We're doing things differently, and we're doing things better than before, because this program showed us how to not only excel at sales, but how to become a prospecting master.
I'm no good at typing very quickly. Tom, I hope that that video answered your questions. You get access to our whole program as well as our forums, so you can always ask any questions that you have, as well as quarterly live trainings similar to this one. So it's a little bit more hands-on. So thank you for asking that question. I hope that answered it. And to Priya's point, if you want to reach out to Stan or me or her or anybody at Vengreso and ask additional questions, please reach out. We're more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on today's call. We super appreciate it. I now have to go and do a team training for one of our Modern Sales Mastery team clients. But it was so good to see all your names and to see you all joining. I hope we answered your questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you, Viv. Thanks, Stan. And for
Thanks,
everybody asking, the recording of this webinar will be available. So you will get access to this. And if you enrolled and signed up for the webinar, we will send you a link and you can share it and socialize it with all your friends and peers. And we should have had a referral program for that one, right, Stan?
Yes, how about that?
Yeah, next time for sure.
Next time.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Felipe. Thanks, Santiago, for another good webinar.